This episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by Wholesale Final Expense Leads. If you are a life insurance agent and you need people to see and you want to raise your activity level, go to wholesalefinalexpenseleads.com and place your order today. Leads are available 24/7. Hi there, Chase here at Cole McCoy, coming to you again with another episode of EFES In The Trenches. This is episode 45.
What's up, everybody?
All right, so we're going to get rolling today, talking with Cole in preparation to this. The topic of mine for Cole was the age-old objection of, I want to think about it. And Cole brought some good notes for this one. I'm excited about talking about it, getting into it. Also, just a quick plug for everybody. You probably heard the promotion for the podcast got started, Wholesale Final Expense Leads. If you need leads, whether you're affiliated with us or not, we've got a hub put together of aged leads that you're able to go out, buy some. And Cole, that's pretty cool because we've seen some good sales come through on those, people we know in the business. So I just want to throw that out there as a reminder for everybody in case you need activity, you're dying on the vine, don't let that happen. Cole, let's talk about kicking this bad boy off in terms of I want to think about it. You've heard this a million times. We've talked about this quite a bit internally. What a beat down to hear. I want to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is something that I know I've done a lot of training on. We've done some conference calls on. If you've heard me go over this before, I apologize. This is something I don't think we can go over enough. I believe we need to constantly sharpen the tools in our toolbox. And I want to think about it as the thing that really is kind of a litmus test for how you're doing. In this game that we're in, if we don't practice, if we're not on point, how we typically get feedback from people is how many times we're getting, I want to think about it. What I will say is there will always be people who will say that they want to think about it no matter what. That's just what it is. But there are some people that are kind of on the fence that will go with you if you lead them down the right path in the right way throughout your presentation. And I want to think about it. I feel the agents that know how to overcome this and do it at a high level separate a struggling or average producer from a good or great producer. If you could figure out how to deal with I want to think about it, at an effective level, your numbers will proportionally, sometimes exponentially increase as you get those folks taken care of. So there's probably a lot we can go over today, Chaser. Probably a lot of things that may come up through this, but I feel like this is probably one of the most important things you can overcome, because I want to think about it as more than just overcoming a simple objection. It's why are you getting I want to think about it? It's what are you doing in the house that makes that happen? It's how are you dealing with the people once they say that? It's, getting to organization and presentation and work ethic sometimes. Are you getting in front of enough people to where you're able to overcome these things? There's a lot of stuff we can go over, Chase. I think this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm 100% confident it is going to be based off of the notes that we were going over together. Let's start off with kind of the macro. Number one, you're right. It's a great topic to discuss because it's probably one of the most common objections we're going to come across in what we do day to day is I want to think about it, whether it's an uncomfortable situation where maybe you haven't developed that great of a rapport or you fumbled through your presentation because you're inexperienced. They don't have confidence. I know you're going to cover that. Let's start, as we understand this is so important. If a new producer out there sees this video and it helps them, it was worthwhile. Let's start with, maybe just ground zero of this when it comes to, I want to think about it, preventing it maybe even ahead of time at the very beginning in the rapport building stage. How do you want to attack that?
Yeah, man. I mean, people don't buy insurance for two reasons. If you want to break it all down and keep it extremely simple, it's either lack of money, they can't afford it, or they don't trust you. Lack of money I can deal with. If someone's genuinely broke or they can't afford what you showed them and you need to talk them down a little bit, that's fine. I can deal with that. But someone saying that they want to think about it, I take that personally. That's something where I'm in a situation of, what did I do wrong and what did I miss here? Because this person is saying that they don't trust me, and I take that personally. And so preventing, I want to think about it, and I don't want to use negative terms, but prevention is probably the best way to say it. But I like, when I'm doing a presentation, I want to be in control. I want to be on offense. So the work you are preventing, I want to think about it by doing things a certain way, but you have to look at it as in you're taking control. You're being empathetic, you're listening, and that starts in rapport. Are you making eye contact when you're talking to people? Are you genuinely listening to what they have to say? Are you asking follow-up questions, or are you just kind of going through the motion? What do you do for a living? Oh, that's good. Does your family live around here? Oh, great. What do you do for fun? Oh, you like to fish? That's cool. Well, anyway, here's why I'm here. Ask them follow-up questions, If they tell you what they did for work, well, I did a little bit of everything. Well, man, what kind of work did you get into? I was in construction, and I worked as a bartender. I worked at GM. Oh my goodness, my grandpa worked at GM, man, and he actually had a rough time. He died from cancer. Look to insert yourself. Step into those situations when you're in rapport. Be a real person. How would you talk to this person if you were given an assignment of you had to get to know them? One of my favorite movies of all time is it's about a football team, and the name is escaping me. With Denzel Washington, high school.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans, exactly. Yes. And one of their assignments was they had to pick a player from a different race and get to know them, to like not have 3-a-days. Look at it like that, get really good at asking questions and knowing a lot about your clients, to where, if you were to just make yourself 2 or 3 notes, 6 months later, you would remember the client based on your conversation with them. You want to leave an impression. So just before you even get into your presentation, that rapport building phase, even if it's 5 minutes, they can feel your warmth. They understand that you care by the way that you interact with them, how you make eye contact, how you actually listen and ask follow-up questions, stepping into that situation. That's the first step to building that trust, is having great rapport. And there's a lot of other agents that do this really well. But the better you can build rapport, getting your clients to laugh, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a great place to start, because at the end of the day, once again, trust is going to be a word that we mentioned quite a bit today. If they don't trust you, there's no way you're going to be able to get that sale. You're not going to be able to earn their business. So spending that time with them, you and I have had many episodes where we've discussed this. The rapport building stage, the wham, bam, thank you, ma'ams, in and out. Those agents typically are, they're a dime a dozen, and they're in and out of the business. So the ones that are really good, the elite level producers, really will put that time in to build the rapport. So it's a very, very powerful point that you made right there. Let's talk about, as we progress and we move along, after you've really gone through it, you've given them the time. Showing confidence during the presentation portion is also one great way to make sure that you can alleviate, I want to think about it, because they have confidence that you're a pro, you know what you're doing, and you've done it 100 million times. Those are the people that are going to get your Social Security. Those are the people that you're going to give your banking information to. That confidence is there. How do we eliminate I want to think about it during the presentation?
Yeah. For me, Chase, I actually think dealing with, I want to think about it, the most important thing you can do is just have a great presentation. Have a systematic approach where you're doing the same thing every time. You know exactly what you're saying, when you're going to say it, how you're going to respond to things. And obviously you'll get better with that over time, but a great presentation will get it to where we've gone over presentation, but there's so many different facets in there. For one, it's breaking it down from the very, very beginning is, why are you even there in the first place? And getting them to talk about a funeral or final expenses that they've had to deal with, getting them to name the person that's going to take care of their funerals, systematically taking them through the presentation and getting multiple tie downs throughout the presentation to where they're giving you small yeses at 5 or 6 or 7 points throughout your presentation, where by the time you get to show them the numbers, the only thing that they can tell you is that they can't afford it or that they're picking one. Telling you I want to think about it, they would have to contradict themselves six or 7 times. So for instance, I'll role play this with you a little bit, Chase. Now, Chase, most people fill this card out for one of 3 different reasons. They don't have any insurance to cover their final expenses. They had a policy already, but just want to make sure they're getting all the benefits they're entitled to, or they just want to leave a little extra behind for their family or a charity or something. What describes your situation?
The first one, option
Okay.
A.
So you don't have any insurance in place or anything like that? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Well, look, man, I can't make any promises today, Chase, but other than that, I'm going to fight for you to see what we might be able to get you qualified for. Does that sound fair? Yeah. So, that's an example of a tie down. Just saying, does that sound fair? Well, they're saying, yes, I'm giving you permission to go look and shop for me, right? Then you get into maybe explaining the difference between an agent and a broker. Same thing. Chase, has anyone ever educated you on the difference between an agent and broker? You go over it. And again, Chase, look, as a broker, I have access to many, many different companies here in the state of Ohio, and I can't make any promises other than that I'm going to fight for you to see who's got the best benefits available for you. Do I have your permission to do that today? So using different things like that, where you're tying them down, you're making it real for them, separating who you are versus other guys, and then getting their agreement about what you're going to do. So those things are really important, and then probably the most important part of your entire presentation, in terms of just instilling confidence, is getting them to talk about any funerals that they've had to deal with. Their loved ones, have died. They've had to deal with emotional and or financial burden, and you have to get them to go to that place. And then from there, getting them to name the person that not only will emotionally be dealing with their death, but financially be dealing with their death as well. And once you get to that point, again, using a small close or a tie down, saying, all right, so, as I'm recapping this here, Miss Mary, you kind of had to deal with your husband's funeral after he died. And when you pass away or you die, your daughter, Kayla, is going to be the one that pays for your funeral. You just don't want to leave her with that bill. Does that sound about right? Okay. Well, look, and then again, use it as another opportunity. Look, Miss Mary, I'm going to fight for you to make sure that Kayla never has to deal with that financial burden. One of the hardest days that she's ever going to deal with. Okay. And make them respond. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Then you go in and you build it. And when you're building it, things throughout your presentation. And again, Chase, if you want to jump in at any point, you're welcome to. But as you're building it, building their plan for them, obviously you're capturing any discounts they might qualify. You're breaking down their health issues. When they give you medications, if they tell you, hey, I'm taking Simvastatin, it's for cholesterol. They say, I have this metopro. Oh, you're taking, that's for blood pressure, or lisinopril. Learn how to pronounce the names. Know what these medications are for. And if you don't, have Google on deck so you can type it in and find out. Oh, well, that's for an overactive bladder. Oh, that's for did you have a heart attack in the past? Do you have any kind of heart flutters or anything? Whatever that thing is, make sure that you're the person that's right there, understanding what they have, what it's for, what are the consequences of that with underwriting. And if you can show this person that you have the mental capacity to walk them through that and understand what these very complicated names are and how they work, that just builds that confidence for them. It takes them through a systematic process from, talking about the emotional need of that sale, getting their tie down, showing them that you're the person that not only cares for them, but is going to help them solve a very big problem, but then showing that you are educated enough and prepared enough to go into that situation, actually go and get them taken care of. So it's all about us taking them through a systematic process. And if you do it the right way, you'll almost never hear, I want to think about it, because they've told you what they need. They've told you what they've had to deal with. They told you what they're going to give you permission to do. And it's really just getting them to pick a price throughout their presentation. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's spot on. The big thing that you guys need to kind of understand is Cole said there's two things. I talk about really three things. This is a big smoke screen whenever you get this. Ben Bowman loves to say smoke screen, and that's pretty much what it is. It's a smoke screen, and as Cole mentioned, you can get away from running into this smoke screen by simply just making sure that you do your part. You be that person that you're supposed to be in that home, that knowledgeable, caring. I would also say assertive. You're to the point. You're hand delivering that information and that knowledge that they need to make that decision. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'll give you a different example. Maybe you guys can relate to this. If somebody shows up to my house and I have somebody coming in to take a look at a leak in my ceiling, somebody who's indecisive, they're not knowledgeable, and they're like, well, I don't know, I've really never heard of this kind of problem here. Somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, and you're going to deal with something that's as important as a whole leak in my ceiling or something like that, I'm going to just tell you, hey, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. I'm going to try every objection I can. You got to go. Let me find somebody who's confident. They're calm. They're cool. They're collected. They're educated. They're going to tell me what the problem is. They're going to tell me what the fix will be. They're going to be compassionate. They're going to be also, hearing, lending, a listening ear to the fact that I need this taken care of. I want somebody like that. And so our seniors are going to be the same way. Think about they're giving you Social Security. They're giving you banking information. They're giving you, names of beneficiaries. These are very personal items. You need to earn that trust. And I just kind of look at it as a drop. You can take a marble and put it in a bucket. Every time I earn that trust, every piece of information I give, I'm just earning that trust bit by bit. And so the way that Cole goes about it, I've had the luxury of seeing this firsthand. Cole does it in a way where he's treating you like your grandma or grandpa. He treats you like your aunt and uncle, like your mom and dad. Very compassionate. And at the end of the day, if you guys show up and you don't know the person and you don't want to know the person and you just think, walk in with commission breath, they'll smell you from a mile away, and you're never going to get – you may make a sale here and there, but you're not going to close the amount of deals that you really should and you have the capability to do, because you don't show that compassion. You're not educated. You're not confident, like Cole had mentioned. And so those three things that Cole had mentioned, it's no money. They don't have affordability. I say, one of the ways that we were taught in the business, it's poverty is stupidity is another one. And we say stupidity not in a vulgar way, but I think everybody out there, and Cole, you can testify to this, we run into some people sometimes there's kind of an ego there. I'm 10 foot tall. I'm bulletproof. I don't need this. I don't care about my family. They still have a soft spot, and you can still kind of get to them occasionally. But, the two reasons you mentioned, I just wanted to add the stupidity part in there, because that doesn't mean you give up on somebody. You just got to educate them. You just got to make sure they understand how this works and how you're there to help them. And that can be extremely, extremely valuable. Cole, as we were doing our preparation for this, we were leading down the path of going through the rapport, going through the presentation. You had made a comment that I thought was extremely powerful as we get to the close now. You had made a comment that I thought was really powerful when you say, confused people don't buy. Just like people that don't trust you, they don't buy. People who are confused and their heads all spinning around, they don't buy. So break down the close for us and tell us, how can we go through the close process and still, alleviate those, man, I just want to think about it, because a lot of times you'll get to this point and here comes that smoke screen.
Yeah, when you're closing, I like to keep it extremely simple. So throughout the presentation, we've captured their need. Maybe I've asked them if they wanted to be buried or cremated. I've asked them if they understood the difference between whole life and term. And even if they said yes, I explained the differences, got them to agree 99.9 times out of 100 that whole life makes more sense for them. So we've gone through all of that, and now we're just showing the numbers. So I'm showing an option around $60, an option around $85 or $90, and an option around $130 for a single person. And then, a couple is more, obviously. And I'm just keeping it real simple. I'm just putting the numbers in front of them and showing them which one makes most sense for you. And what you want them to do in their mind is look at the $130 one and say, I would love to leave Kayla this $30,000 at $130 a month, but I can really only afford to leave her $85 a month at, $20,000 of insurance or whatever the number is, right? That's where you want their mind to be. You don't want there to be anything in the way where you start mumbling or rambling or talking about anything. Once you show them your numbers, keep it simple, shut up, just show them, here are the numbers, which one makes the most sense for you. And then honestly, do an assumption close. While you're looking at that, I'm going to start filling this out so we can get you qualified here. We're at 123 Main Street, right? Okay, and your phone number is 330-465-2177. Okay, and your social. Okay, perfect. Now, which one of those was making most sense for you? Okay, great. That's what a close should sound like. You don't want to overcomplicate things by, talking about things that don't really matter. Keep it as simple as you possibly can. If they're confused, if they don't understand something, or once you show them the numbers, you started rambling because you're nervous and now you're throwing things into the equation that just kind of is like a glitch in the matrix, avoid all of those things. Every single thing you're doing is going from point A to point B. This has a purpose. I care for this person. Obviously, I make a great living by doing this, but I'm here to protect their family. So every single thing I'm doing is with that objective in mind, and I'm not veering off the path. If you do that, you'll prevent people from being confused. Another big part of preventing confusion is being extremely organized. Having, if you're using an iPad, have a copy of your license in your photos. If you have all your apps that you use right on the front page, have all your quoters or your e-apps right there saved. So you just click on it, you start the app. They don't know, I'm pulling this up or I'm pulling that up. You just click and you go, and they don't know what you're doing. I mean, as far as like all the different little nuances of clicking this button, clicking that button, going here, you're going to be well rehearsed. So those types of things. So that, that's you going on the offensive to where you won't hear, I want to think about it. You're preventing them from stepping into that situation. But I also think it's important that we talk about what happens when they do say, I want to think about it.
Absolutely. It's powerful. To your point that you just made, when you're in the home and you go through the part where, I kind of look at it from like a track standpoint where you're able to stride out during your presentation. That's when you're going to stride out. You're going to pick up some ground. You're not burning as much energy. But then when you hit the close, that's when it's pedal to the metal. And you should have already been in your sweet spot. The rapport is built. They're feeling it. You're feeling it. You've got some personal information because you've gone through health. The trust is built. Now it's just pedal to the metal, not in terms of your actual speed of the process, but now we're looking to finish, and we're on the home stretch here. And that's when you should not get nervous because and we're going to talk about preparation leading into getting out in the field here in just a moment as we close it out. But you guys should have everything in the bag. Whether you've transitioned to e-apps or you're doing it telephonically in person or you're still using paper apps, that process is not going to change. That should be the same. So when you get to the close, as Cole's talking about, your confidence level should raise. You should be a little bit more even vibrant than you were before because they've trusted you. They've allowed you to go over this information. Now, dang it, I got to get them taken care of. Now let's go through, let's get this done. But Cole, next segment, go ahead and fire away, bud.
Yeah. Here's what I want to make extremely plain. Even if you do everything perfectly, you will still get people to say that they want to think about it. They want to talk to their kids. They want to pray on it. Whatever it is, you're still going to get people that say that. The first thing that you need to do, I love how Chris Smith says it. He says, tell me a little bit more about what that means. Mm-hmm. Or in other words, I'll say, look, I understand completely. Was there anything that you didn't understand or that you would like me to go back over? Was there something that didn't make sense to you? If the answer is no, I understand everything. I just don't make any decisions on the spot. That's really where it's go time. Okay, how do I handle this? How do I overcome these types of objections where they have agreed multiple times that they didn't want to leave a burden on their family, a burden was left on them, or their family member had insurance, they want to leave the same gift behind for their loved ones. if they're still after giving you all that information, if they're still saying they just want to sleep on it, give me your card, Cole. I'll call you back in a couple of days once I've made my decision. This is what separates the big boys from the guys that are struggling and getting out of the business. And it's not really a big gap. Everybody's getting the ones that just go right through it and do something.
Lay down.
Everybody gets those. This is the piece that will take you from, paying for your leads and barely paying your bills and your gas to putting getting 30 grand saved up in your bank account within a couple months right here. So whenever they say, Cole, I understand, I don't have any other questions. I just really need some time to think about it. This is where you have to create urgency. You don't want to speed up or get anxious or intense. You tell them like it is. This is where it needs to be made plain that, you only come out once. There's so many people that have responded. Right now, we have a convenient excuse because during COVID, we got a lot of people responding to this stuff. But you have to have urgency here. Say, yeah, look, Miss Mary, I really understand. I want you to have something to be able to think about until we can get you an approval. Look, I know you're just taking, not just taking, but you're taking lisinopril and simvastatin. To be honest with you, I'm not sure if we can get you approved. I got to fight for you just to make sure that we can even get you approved, so you have something to think about and pray about. I want to honor that decision for you to be able to talk to your daughter. I want you to be able to sit and ponder this a little bit. That $60? Is that unaffordable? Or if you can get it to affordability, that's a win too. Well, actually, no, it's not. I can afford 40. Okay, we're writing that. But still, people that just kept saying, no, I just really need to talk to my daughter about this, and I'll say, look, Miss Mary, there's really nothing to think about yet. If you have another birthday before you do this, the price is going to go up. Your health can always change. At least let me fight for you to get you an approval so you have something to think about. Now, this is probably the most important part of this, because you don't want to do a 30-day free look close. Say, look, if this is something that you don't want, you can just cancel in 30 days. I'm not saying that. What you say is, okay, look, Miss Mary, if this is something that you're telling me because you don't want to do anything and you're just trying to get rid of me, I'm going to get out of your hair. I have to see a bunch more people today. But I'm pretty sure after everything that we just went through that you need to do something. You just want to make sure it's the right situation for you. I actually am here to fight for you, to give you that right to be able to think about this. So now, Miss Mary, are you just telling me this so I can get out of your hair and you're not going to do anything? Oh, no. Okay, great. Let me actually fight for you so you can think about this. So what you're doing is you're politely putting them into a corner where they've run out of excuses. That worked on the last guy. These people are professional procrastinators. They don't want to put down their DirecTV or their going out to eat 5 times a month to protect their family. They're comfortable leaving that burden on them or just not even thinking about it. Nobody wants to leave that kind of burden on their family. But these people are also on a fixed income, and they want to pick and choose. You have to kind of look at it like that and have that urgency, putting it all back on their health. And giving them an out. If they're saying, look, they're not going to do anything. If you just want to get rid of me, that's fine. I'll leave. But having them, if you can get them to say, no, that's not it at all. You've got a sale, because they're out of excuses at that point. Well, I don't really do anything without talking to my daughter. Oh, okay. Well, does she pay all your bills? Does she, when you get your cable or when you buy a TV, does she do that for you? Or, okay, when you bought your car, did she? Okay, well, no worries. Well, I definitely want you to be able to talk to your daughter, but I don't even know if there's anything to talk to her about yet, so we don't know if we can get you approved or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're like, Mary, you told me a moment ago your daughter's 38 years old, correct? Yeah, she's 38. Now, you took care of her for 38 years. What exactly is she going to do to help make this decision for you? You're a grown woman. I've seen that presentation kind of come through a little bit. I've had a situation come up where I always like to use the why. Number one, what's the why? That's going to be help being the close at a later date in the conversation. I know you and I've talked about that quite a bit. I had a lady tell me point blank, she hadn't talked to her son. He pretty much left her alone for 2 years. Her and her husband for years owned a restaurant. They had sold it, made a nice amount of money, put it in the bank. She was living fairly comfortably, but she still needed some coverage because she didn't have any. And when we got to the close, she told me that she needed to talk to her son. And I was like, you need to talk to your son? You mentioned to me before that he hasn't contacted you in 2 years.
Yep.
And she was kind of like, and I remember her looking right at me in the eye and telling me, I don't even know why I said that to you. And I was like, I don't either. You told me why you needed to get this in place. Your husband had passed away 2 years ago suddenly of a heart attack. You haven't talked to your kids, but you still want to leave something behind to make sure that you're taken care of and the burial's all handled. This is done. You can literally get approved right now. It only takes a matter of just a few minutes. And it can be the craziest thing in the world. Like, well, I got to go to an appointment. I got to get this done. And it's like, whoa, let's get this taken care of for you. Let's get you qualified. And I think that you did a fantastic job covering. The big thing is you should be able to smell out the kind of BS as it comes along, because it may be something that lingers and then hits, or it may be something that just comes out of nowhere. But the information that you're going to gather through your rapport building and through your presentation, that's going to be your evidence and your facts later to then finish and close. Because if somebody tells you, hey, I need to talk to my son, well, you haven't talked to your son in 2 years. Well, hey, I've got an appointment. You made sure to tell me when I first came in that we got nothing but time here. Let's go ahead and go through the information. All of those smoke screens, as we talk about, they're out of the way. Now let's get to business. Let's make sure you're taken care of. And that why, for those of you watching, is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, parts of your entire call. It's the reason that they filled that card out. So make sure you find that out. Cole, as we talked about preparation, I know that one thing you work on very closely with all of the producers you work with and train, preparation. I just got done doing one today with a gentleman. He drove 2 hours on something we could have done. Hi, Charlie. He drove 2 hours to come see me today in the office and sit down and go over getting everything he needs in terms of websites, logins, passwords for the carrier, all of that stuff, getting fully connected. He drove 2 hours to come in to do it when we could have done it over Skype. This is powerful. This is important because regardless of what kind of lead you're working, if you can make a sale or you have the ability to make a sale right now, you're ready to go. You're in business.
Yeah, absolutely. So having everything set up, even preparation on even your presentation. How many reps have you put in before you're getting in front of people, especially if you're new? But yeah, I mean, I get asked this all the time because I train a lot of agents. I'm younger than most of the agents I train. And they'll ask me, so who's in training here? And because they can tell, they're like, so you're the boss and you're the whatever, right? Or if I'll jump in, these people are not stupid. Maybe they're not well prepared, but they're not dumb. They can tell if you're not prepared or if you don't know what you're doing or where you're going, and that only really hurts you. I don't like to tell people to fake it. I don't like people to tell fake anything, but you shouldn't be putting yourself in a position where you feel like you're faking. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you've not done it before and it's not familiar, that's fine. But you should have done at least 100 reps at your own kitchen table with your wife and kids, or to a freaking brick wall and send it to your upline and have them critique you, or doing it over the phone or whatever. If this is your business, this is your livelihood. If you're not prepared with that, you're definitely going to drop the ball when someone real time gives you, I want to think about it, and you have to overcome something, or you have to reason with somebody that, dude, you're paying $200 a month for your cable. Like, what are we doing here? You have to be willing to level with people. So that's a big part of it. And then obviously the organization, just, do you have folders? Do you have paper apps in case technology is down? Do you have all the numbers in your phone to do phone interviews if you have to write paper apps? Do you have all the logins and passwords to go write e-apps, to get to your agent portals, to know how to do amendments, to how to go and physically write the apps? Are you able to articulate to your client how it works? Are you able to tell them what happens after a policy? And maybe you don't know this answer, but I guarantee you there's somebody within proximity to you that if you're willing to ask those questions will help you figure that out and help you go through knowing how that stuff works so you can tell your client. Preparation in the midst of all of this, I'd say that overcoming, I want to think about it as a matter of preparation. It's a matter of having the nerve to step in toe to toe. Once they throw that first jab of I want to think about it, is you have the ability to overcome that and win that battle. What I don't want you guys to do is start using 30-day free look closes and saying, well, you can cancel in 30 days. Tell people straight up, like, if you think you're going to cancel this, we're not going to do anything. If you're just telling me that to get me out of the house because it worked from the last guy, that's totally fine. And a lot of times, even if they were intending on doing that, I found that I've had people say, well, that did work on the last guy. But you know what? You are right, Cole. And I'll be like, look, if you're going to cancel this, Miss Mary, we're not going to do this. And be real with these people. But that confidence comes from being prepared. And if you're not able to go get in front of actual leads and clients right now, go practice on your family and friends. Have them sit down, listen to your presentation, and go through it with you, and record yourself and practice writing application. Opening up your iPad. I go here, I go there. Here's the notes I take. Here's the medications. Here's the website I go to. Here's how I physically write the app. Here's what I say and how I say it. If you're not doing that multiple times before you're getting out the field, you're asked, you're flirting with a dangerous line of, some people just figure it out even though they're not prepared, but some people fail just because they miss a couple apps that they should have gotten, but now they need cash flow to pay for their leads, or they need cash flow to pay their bills. Now they got to go take a job. I can go on forever about this, Chase. One more example of this, and then I'll shut up. But I have an agent, who literally was this close to having about $2,000 worth of AP one day. And this agent, and I won't get into the details and throw him or her under the bus, but they missed it because they hadn't dealt with that situation, and maybe it was a lack of preparedness as well. And that does happen. The snowball effect of that not being prepared or not being ready to handle that objection, to handle something, turned into next week that guy or girl couldn't pay for their leads. Next week they have to pick up extra hours at work. Next week they're calling me that this insurance business thing isn't cut out for them because the people are just too hard. They're not making enough money. But I guarantee you, that person makes those sales for $2,000 worth of cash flow. They can still buy their leads and pay their bills. Next week they go out, they now have momentum and confidence to know that they can do this. And now they write 4 or 5 policies and they do it all over and over and over again. Do you see how that can make a massive difference in your business? Just that little bit of preparedness from one week to the next on the trajectory of your career is just by being willing to be prepared and putting the work in to put yourself there. I digress.
No, you don't. You actually, that was fantastic because it's so true. It's powerful. We talked about, like, a lot of people in past episodes, and we train on it every morning. I think Ben mentioned it this morning. Like, you can create paralysis by analysis if you're an agent and getting too in deep to the preparedness side of things. You need to get your bare essentials. You need to get yourself ready to go and write business and make money today. E-apps, for me personally, I'm going to make sure the e-apps are ready. I'm going to make sure that I've got my login password in my iPad. I've got it saved so I can just pull it up. It's bookmarked. I'm ready to go. And the reason you need to focus on that is because you're going to you got to look at the timeline here. If you've put a lead order in, direct mail, for example, you're looking at 3 to 4 weeks before it gets out and comes back. Number one, you want to make money before then. We'll talk about that in a second. But whether you're working Facebook, direct mail, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a certain amount of time, a window where you're waiting to be approved by the carriers. So you have preparation. That's when you should be doing your training with your upline, going over your presentation, your fact finding, figuring out what your schedule is going to be. How am I going to go out with my daily routine? When do I get out? When do I come home? When do I go out? When do I come back? All of that fun stuff, you need to get that all lined out. Then as you start getting the writing numbers coming in from the carriers one by one, you jump in, you get access to the site, you're getting supplies, you're getting yourself set up. We've got some tools and some resources internally that help expedite this. But if you're out there all on your own, make sure that those numbers come in. You're reaching out to the carrier. You're getting access to their portal so you can get access to the e-apps. Get everything sorted out so you're ready to go write business. Worst case scenario, if you deal with a company like, say, RNA, Royal Neighbors of America, once you get that writing number, there's places where you can get a quoting software on your phone. You can literally go get the quotes, and you can just call it.
Writing number.
Yeah, you literally, as long as you have your writing number, you can literally.
You don't even have to have that.
Yeah, I mean, you're ready to go write business is my point. As the carriers start to give you the approval, you can quote it, you can call in and do it all over the phone. You need the bare essentials. In terms of the full-on preparedness, get your kit built out. Get the things that you're going to be using, the brochures you're going to be leaving behind. Use your time wisely for the build-out. And then when your leads are coming in, you're ready to go out and start seeing people. Everything is done. Now it's a matter of gaining experience. Now it's a matter of putting some skins on the wall and figuring out what's what and who's who in terms of what do you need to fix. What are you short at? What are your deficiencies? And cultivate enough data to then understand, I now need to work on this. If you'll put the time in, you prepared, and then you put the effort in, you can worry about all the other little stuff later. Don't let the little stuff, oh, I don't know this or I don't know that. If you have an upline that's worth its salt, you can get over some of those obstacles and objections and go make money while learning. You're paying for your education right now in this business, but too many people, you and I both know this, too many people fail out of the business because they fail to take flight. And as long as that's not you, I'm not saying go out there and be unprepared and be willy-nilly. Do the basics. We train on the basics. We teach on the basics. We get the basics under your belt. And then in a short amount of time, you will be ready to go out and start making money and start building your career. But don't be afraid to get started and never get started. That's a big problem that we see on a regular basis. And I've seen it for almost 15 years. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's a beautiful balance. You don't want to have paralysis by analysis, but you don't want to be underprepared either. You know, there's a fine balance between just go and see people, but know what you're doing. You know, learn from your mistakes.
Yep. When you see like a blue chip prospect in sports, a lot of times they're going to try and tinker with things and they're going to try and get the mechanics good. But a lot of times they'll just tell a rookie, just go run, go do your thing, go play. And that's the same thing for you. You may not envision yourself being a blue chip prospect. That's all between the ears. We teach on let you run, let you do your thing, but we're going to make sure we have all the basics covered. So as always, Cole McCoy, love doing the podcast. 46 is going to come sooner than later. And we may have to film later this week. So I appreciate you, buddy. Yeah,
maybe we'll do it from Florida with some sunshine, man.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'm not afraid of COVID. We may have to go do that. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. It's a great business. It's a great industry to be a part of. We love to see you plug into EFES Nation. We do live trainings. We do live dial sessions, all kinds of fun stuff. Get plugged in, get connected. If you want to learn more, go to efesnation.com. Below, there's a little form fill that you can request info. We got a contact us page. We'd love to talk to you. Get plugged in. We'll see you guys soon.
See y'all.